Hello, Dr. Pillai.
Hello, how are you?
Very good. Thank you for accepting to do this interview over Skype. This is exciting.
I'm delighted to do this.
I love it because I've seen many of your YouTube videos and you're like this internet, YouTube, Indian kind of guru, if I can say. Is that right?
hmm Yeah, can say that.
And you're really an international speaker and an author,
Uh,
and it's really cool because I'm really excited, right now about the role of the internet in the spiritual evolution and the shift on the planetary level. What do you think that role is, and how is that playing for you?
well, it has been very good for me because I have reached people all over the world through the YouTube. Okay, otherwise I have to go to France and meet people. Now I don't have the need. I can just sit in my room and communicate to anyone on the planet.
Do,
So the internet is going to play a vital role in communication, not only spirituality but anything that anybody wants to share with others.
yes. Do you think it's
Yeah,
also helping us to evolve as human beings and develop a new way of communicating, possibly? Of
yeah,
connecting beyond seeing each
yeah,
other?
yeah, definitely because we are, science and technology. Over the past 200 years have done a great deal in trying to understand what the human brain can do and beyond what yoga and the siddhas were doing. So certainly this science and technology is going to help. Even the yogis, if they were living today, they would use a lot of this. Because I myself have been playing with the idea of stopping thoughts and writing a software for that. It's called the stupid thoughts inhibitors. Okay, as soon as a stupid thought comes in, there will be an alarm. Uh, So all these things are possible
Yeah.
now. And
Tell us
also, yeah,
tell us about your view on how we create our reality. What is reality really?
reality is what everyone, looks at. And you cannot look at the reality without some orientation. The orientation comes not only from this birth, but from another birth also. Because I have been involved in trying to help spiritual people, particularly, to get some money. Because spiritual people everywhere, not only in India, but also all over the world, have no money. It is because their perception of money has been flawed. They just came up with an idea that money is not all that good, and that is a problem. That is the problem all over the world. All the spiritual people have money problems. But whereas you go to a materialistic people, and then they have no problem in attracting millions and millions of dollars. They may not even meditate. It's all so. What's happening is the perception, the concepts they have about money. So the world is how you perceive it. So if you have deep down negative attitudes towards money, which is the case with the spiritual people, they have difficulty in attracting money. You know, so that's what my role has been up until now, and now I have a different agenda. Up until now, for the past 25 years or 30 years, I have been teaching people. The people who come to me are not rich people. There are some rich people, but maybe 2%. But 98% of the people who come to me either are middle class or lower middle class or poor people. And I've been trying to tell them that, the world is as you are, that you have to change yourself, your attitude towards things, and then everything will change. This is not only with money, with relationship, with health, and with everything, because you are the central person. Whatever attitudes are, you have to check and then see. whether you have judgments. If you judge money, money will not be there. If you judge relationship, relationship will not be there. If you judge health, health will not be there. So that's basically my teaching.
Yeah, how do you, what are those teaching based on? Because I've seen some of your video where you were teaching, for example, mantras like Om Braji Namaha or something that.
Yeah. Well, let me start with what I gave to Wayne Dyer. I gave Wayne Dyer the sound ah. Instead of lecturing for hours together, and then which is good, which will prepare the mind, to new concepts and correct your mindset. But that's not going to do everything. What is going to do is a correction at the level of the soul. Okay, and the level of the soul, if it vibrates with prosperity, then you will have prosperity. So, for instance, the meditation that I gave to Wayne Dyer, and he was basically responsible to popularize that through his CD on the meditation. So that sound, will create a lot of prosperity, because it's a prosperity sound. Okay, how does it, when Wayne Dyer, for instance, I remember when he introduced it in Los Angeles, he said, I got this from this Indian guru, and then I tested it, and then I found it was working. That's why he wrote that book, You Can Create Your Destiny, manifest your destiny. You can manifest it. So the sounds can produce results because they have a higher intelligence, and especially when they are syllables, because the syllables are like atoms or subatomic particles. And there is energy packed into the sounds. Okay, so you just don't have to do anything. Just go with the sound all the time, and then you will find miracles happening. Okay, and that's better than lecturing. So I don't want to be a preacher myself. Preaching is only just a waste of time. So what is more important is to give a technology. So if you just say the sound over and over again, and then it is the sound that can create prosperity.
So what happens? Are you saying it overrides the thoughts? Are you creating? It creates new patterns. Is it on the cosmic level? It redirects things. What happens?
Yeah, the sound is capable of creating matter itself. So, for instance, creation, the sound of, for instance, is the sound of creation. So, to quote Wayne Dyer, when he started teaching it, he said that, and the guru says this is the sound that creates. And that's what you say when you are creating a baby. That's what he said. You don't, he said when you are creating a baby, you don't say, Richard, you say only, This is what he said, So this is the sound of creation. Okay, when you just, this sound of, you get into the creative process, when you are tuning into the natural mechanics of creation. The mechanics of creation, it's all sound waves that create everything. Okay, and the yogis were able to identify these sound waves and give these sound waves to people so that they can manifest with this sound wave. So you don't have to worry about skill sets and retraining yourself. That's only secondary. For the yogi, what is important is go and say these sounds over and over a million times. So that's what we do with the sound stream Brazil. Because I have had tremendous amount of success, even people in the financial industry using the sound, the whole some of the divisions, they all get up in the morning and then use Stream Brazil, and then they have done extremely well. That's why I prefer using sounds better than any other modality.
Where do you place your mind or your thoughts? What do you focus on? Do you still have the intention? Do you still feel the abundance or the prosperity? Do you?
The mind is a monkey mind. It will not stay in one place. So If thoughts come, you just come back to the mind, the sound. That's what it is. You just say, and then you think about your, that you forgot to call someone, or you're worried about something. So the thoughts keep coming. Then you keep coming back to the sound. Okay. So it's a training, you go, that's why the easiest way would be to have a counter, and then you say, if you just say 1,008 times, and then it gathers enough strength to help you manifest the things that you want to manifest.
There's a big part also of action, isn't there? So when do we know that it's the right action, or when it's time to move on from making the sound to acting?
The action is a secondary phenomenon, so it's required. But then first you have to prepare your consciousness, your soul, because then the action will come on its own. Because some people have a problem, I don't know how the money is going to come, okay? And then once they do this sound, they become very positive, and then they will be able to attract whatever, the sound also attracts things. Because you are vibrating with the sound of creation. And also my theory of attraction is very different from the Western theory of attraction. You don't attract from outside. You just only from inside out, you put things outside. Okay, so it's not an attraction. It is only putting things from your own consciousness outside. In other words, you have a three-dimensional material aspect, and then a unidimensional thought form. So your thought form. So if, for instance, you want a Mercedes Benz, so you just put that thought in your mind. Okay, that's unidimensional, and then over a period of time, the use of the sounds, then you are able to project it from inside out. So you are not attracting it. You are just putting from inside out. So whatever you see is only springs from inside out. So what is important, if there is poverty outside, if there is failures, if there is disappointments outside, it is also coming from inside out. So we have to take responsibility that we are creating this poverty. Okay? And or the health problem or relationship problem. All this can be corrected if you correct inside. The first thing is do it inside. And then the action will come on its own. Okay, you will take care of itself.
How about if the desires, for example, the car, specific car brand, or would not provide the fulfillment, and it's like we're projecting things, or we think we want things, and ultimately it's much deeper than that. What do you do with that? Do you just encourage people to just focus on what they want, or do you also help people to find a deeper what's underneath, or what's the process of really being fulfilled and happy in life?
They are not mutually exclusive. Okay, so you don't have to necessarily be poor in order to be spiritual. God is not poor. Okay, God has everything. The whole world belongs to God. So the idea that you have to be really, a minimalist or poor is also a wrong concept, and that has divided materialism from spiritualism. To be spiritual doesn't mean that you have to renounce the materialistic world. Okay. To be spiritual for me is the ability to do everything, okay? But then you have a preference. For instance, look at the Buddha. The Buddha was a king, the only son to the heir to the throne. But then he said, well, I don't think this is what I want to do, and he renounced. So I used to tell people, I used to teach Buddhist techniques of meditation for the University of Pittsburgh, where I would stay. At the end of the course, look, Buddha's model is not the right model for the 21st century, because you don't have to renounce the world in order to become enlightened. Okay? So you cannot go to the other extreme. You have to, moderation is the best way to do things. So the problem with the spiritual people is, no, I don't want any of these things. I just don't, want to focus all my attention on God. And I think then what happens is they are without money. I see them, in all these spiritual places like Sedona and Mount Shasta, hanging out there without money, and then they have very sad stories. And people, highly qualified people like computer consultants, and then they just have this wrong idea. Okay, so again, that goes to the point that you initially raised. The perception is everything. How you perceive reality.
Yeah.
Decides everything.
And what I was trying to get at too is that there seems to that there's a deeper longing anyway. That money is it seems to a lot of people is a quick fix, but there is truly a more deeper unconditional place where we can be and can express ourselves, or it can come to us. It's a different dynamic rather than constantly pursuing on the outside too.
Well, why do you create a conflict between the matter and spirit? That's the question. To be spiritual, to be wealthy is also spiritual. Okay, that's how we have to look at it. This dichotomizing spirituality from materiality, God from religion, won't stand water for an enlightened person. It's a choice. You can make a choice like the Buddha to leave the kingdom. And then there are other kings in India, and they are fully enlightened, and they were ruling the kingdom. There was no problem. I think that's a better model than to really leave everything, leave his wife, leave his son, and leave his father, leave his kingdom, and then I said I am going to be enlightened. I'm not putting down Buddha, but that is what he wanted to do, But I don't think that's a good model,
Okay.
And that's my opinion.
Yes. What is you're saying we're getting into a golden age, 2012 is the golden age. How do you define that?
Well, 2012, according to the Mayan calendar, is the end of the world. The world is not going to end. It's going that there will be a change of consciousness. And that will happen because of two phenomena that's happening because of the 26,000 year cycle of the Earth around the Pleiades, and that's happening now. And then there's a 225 million year cycle of the whole solar system going around the Milky Way. And whenever there is a phenomenon like this, that will change our DNA. Our DNA has only two strands that the scientists think that's a problem. And when we have more DNA, then we have no ignorance. Now the problem with us is the cells are ignorant. That's why they are aging. They are creating diseases because no intelligent, DNA structure will create pain and sickness and old age and aging. So the ignorance will be changed by the photon rays that we will receive from the sun, and that will change our DNA structure, and that is the scientific explanation of that. And then there are spiritual people who say that there will be participation of God in trying to change the world. So whatever it is, but deep down in my heart, I believe that it's what is going to happen. So we will all see a change to happen.
Why is it called the golden age?
Because people will be happier, sicknesses will not be there, and old age and all these things will be transformed as the humanity will be transformed.
And even worry-free, you were saying?
Yes, definitely, yeah, definitely.
Just from that.
They will have a different perception about the world, relationship. There will be more love, more caring. People will not hoard and be greedy and cutthroats, and all these things will not be there. That's why it's called golden age.
Is there something that you recommend to do in preparation of that?
Well, I have put out a lot of videos that in YouTube how to prepare oneself for 2012. That you have to evolve yourself and then have to become more sensitive to understanding your own inner nature and just not say that the golden age is going to come. I don't have to do anything. Now you have to prepare yourself.
Can you give us a few little things here? Is it partly about the diet? Is it partly about how we're thinking? Is it more meditation? Is it physically preparing the body? What is it for you?
It is all about it is all of what you said. It is about diet. It's about exercise. It's about meditation. But I put more emphasis on meditation. So I teach people how you can prepare yourself for 2012 is you have to quit thinking dualistic thinking, okay, which is not using your full mental potential. Dualistic thinking is ignorant thinking, rationalistic thinking that originates from, according to the yoga, from your third eye. And then from there, you have to move your attention to the top of your head. And if you put your attention here all the time, then your energy will go there. And when the energy goes there, then you will cease to become just in the mode of rationalistic, dualistic thinking, but you will become God. So, in other words, according to my tradition, which is the Tamil Siddha tradition, you become a human, a limited being, when you operate from here at this spot. But when you go from here to the top of the head, then everything will change. You know, your body will change, your mind will change, your attitude will change, and this is a point where you have to activate yourself. Then you cannot be like a negative human being and or an ignorant human being. So the idea is you just put your attention here, and then I also teach a mantra, Shivaya Nama. Shivaya Nama. So if you go and to the top of the brain, and then you go on saying this, then your energy will be pulled from your the third eye center to the top of the brain, and that is my life in meditation for the golden age. Mm-hmm.
What does Vedic science? I know you've studied Vedic science.
Yes. Yeah.
What are some of the main components of it, or what does it point at, especially right now?
Veda really means, the literal meaning of the word Veda means knowledge. It's okay. What is going to give us a better life is knowledge. But the knowledge that we have is only materialistic scientific knowledge, which is very limited. But Veda gives us a holistic understanding. For instance, Veda talks about omniscience, omnipotence, and omnipresence. These are all attainable by human beings, provided they can move their attention from this third eye center to the crown center, and then operate from there. Then the human being becomes God. Okay? So the main teaching of the word Veda is that you are God. And then you are pretending that you are not God.
Do you think it goes hand in hand, the kind of the raw diet or the vegetarian diet with spirituality?
Yeah.
Spiritually aware and awake?
Yeah.
You do? No meat?
Yeah. Well, I leave the question to every individual to answer. If the body knows better. If the body wants... gives you a symptom, a craving, and then that you have to really honor the body, okay? And so this is a question I leave it to an individual to decide. But if you want a general rule, the vegetarian food is better than the non-vegetarian food because it's less polluted, it's more aesthetic, more compassionate. Hmm? But I won't condemn people who eat meat.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us what is your message to for humanity? Because I've done recently this video on YouTube, and hundreds of people have replied, and I'm really excited to hear what, if you had to do such a video, what would be your message to humanity right now?
The message is good news is coming, which is 2012. Humanity has suffered for centuries. Unable to fulfill their desires, and with diseases, with pain, and all kinds of suffering. And this will all come to an end with the participation of the divine, which I told you about, the photon rays coming in, and then they are changing our DNA structure. And that, to me, is a reality. It is not just a belief, but it is a reality, and I just meditate on it all the time. All the time, I have one thing in my mind, and that is how to change this world. Because no politician, no social reformer can do anything about it. Because it's not about economic policy, or it's not about providing jobs to people. We have to change our entire constitution. Our body has to change. Our mind has to change, and that will happen only when we evolve. And then this is the evolutionary time.
Is it something that we really need to actively pursue, or will happen no matter what?
Well, that's a question. You shouldn't be sitting and then doing whatever you are doing, lying down on the beach and drinking beer, and
no.
That's not going to work. You have to prepare yourself. You have to, for that, because collectively we have to engage ourselves. Okay, because if there is, for instance, let's say in Los Angeles, there is downtown LA versus Bel Air or Beverly Hills. You see the energy of these two different places are very different. A bad neighborhood, nobody wants to go there. Why? People in the bad neighborhood, they all vibrate with negative thought waves. Those thought waves define the environment. Okay, go to a rich neighborhood or a decent neighborhood, then there is a different feel to it. Why? Because it's all a reciprocity between people who live there and the environment they create. So now what I'm thinking about or talking about is collectively all of humanity have to join together and then want to bring in the golden age. So we are tired of suffering. All the time, morning till evening, running like a rat race to make money, and still are not able to do these things. All these things because there is no love, there is no willingness to share and care for. Share and care is not there. All these things can be developed only when we evolve as a race. So that's why on a New Year's Day, I wanted to do a global webcast, okay, inviting people to come and define how we can prepare ourselves as a race to receive the golden age. So
Nice.
that will be on New Year's Eve.
I know you spent some time in Southern California, and I think you're originally from Southern India. Are things really shaping up and moving there too?
Oh yeah. Everywhere I see the change. There will also be devastation. I did not mention that. When we are moving to the golden age, there will be democracy everywhere. So there will be some adjustment problems, and there will be some natural calamities also to shake people to come to an understanding of spirituality, because we need that real shake-up, and that shake-up will also happen. and which will involve an economic collapse, which has already happened, but then it will further deteriorate. Okay, well, all over the world, not only in one place, all over the world there will be economic crisis, and there will be also natural calamities, which will shake people to think that this materialistic paradigm is not the only paradigm. There is another paradigm, and there is help available from the divine, and then people will respond to that. So that is also going to happen.
Even in countries like India, where there's really caste and really you're born in a certain status, and all this is going to open up.
Yeah, everything, everywhere the change will happen. Everywhere.
How do you, if you to finish this interview, if you can like narrow down your main message, like really the thing that you think you're here in the world to transmit, like really this one sentence or this couple of sentences that really is it for you, to that is really really important to your heart, for your soul to share. How can you bottle this up?
I mentioned that already. We have to change ourselves individually from dualistic, ignorant thinking that takes from the third eye center and move it to this center here. And once that is done, you will see that individually you are satisfied with your own growth, and then you will also contribute to the global change. And that's what I would say. So everybody, individual peace only contributes to the global peace. Mm-hmm. If the individual is unhappy, their global peace is meaningless. Mm-hmm. So individually, you have to be strong and intelligent and also very capable. And that can happen only when we change. And the individual change, for me, is very important. Everybody has to change. And that happens when you move your attention from here to here, and that's what the final thing that I want to say.
And not just to be clear, not from here to the heart.
No, here to here.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, very exciting. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed this, and thank you for taking the time. And I look forward to doing more. I'm excited to put this on YouTube and.
Great,
all the beautiful YouTubers out there sharing this everywhere.
Yeah, I'll be in India, just feel free to contact me, and then we'll make that happen. Okay?
Thank you. I'll be in India for sure.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.